Welcome to the deep dive. We're doing something a little different today. We're going to be diving into a script this time.
Hmm.
And this script is called Paste It Text. And it's an episode from an English language learning series called Conversations in English. Have you heard of it?
I haven't, but it sounds interesting.
Yeah, it is. It features a character named Alex, and he's visiting an art museum.
Okay.
So we're kind of using this script to explore how museums can spark learning and interesting conversations.
I like that.
We'll use Alex's experience as our guide. What do you think?
Sounds good. I'm excited to dive in.
Me too. Okay, so let's see. What I thought was really fascinating about this script was that it goes beyond simple language learning.
How so?
Well, the writer uses this everyday setting, a museum visit,
Yeah.
to create these really authentic opportunities for practicing English. Does that make sense?
Yeah, totally. It's like
Yeah.
they're immersing the learner in a real world scenario.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Instead of just focusing on grammar drills, Alex is actually out in the world experiencing art and culture while using the language.
I see. Yeah.
So let's start with Alex's arrival at the museum. What stood out to you in that first scene?
Well, right away, I was struck by how the writer immediately sets the scene.
Oh, how?
Using these sensory details, the creaking doors, the faint chatter of other visitors, the classical music playing softly.
Oh, yeah.
It's subtle, but it really works to draw you into that museum atmosphere.
I agree. It really does. I felt myself getting transported to that space as I read it.
Me too.
And then we have that simple interaction between Alex and the museum guide.
Right.
He just asks her directions, but it's such a perfect example of how basic, polite English can be used in a real-world situation.
Yeah. It's like a little microcosm of everyday communication.
It is. What did you think about the language used there?
Well, there's a simple good morning, a straightforward request, and a thank you. It seems so basic, but these small interactions are the foundation of confident communication.
Exactly. I mean, especially for someone learning a new language, mastering these everyday phrases can be so empowering.
It's like building a solid base before you move on to more complex conversations.
Exactly. Okay, so moving on,
Okay.
I noticed the writer also included some really interesting sensory details, like the sound of Alex's footsteps echoing on the marble floor.
Uh-huh.
What do you think? Was that just for atmosphere, or was there more to it?
I think it serves a dual purpose. It definitely enhances that sense of being present in the museum.
Right.
But I also think it's subtly reinforces the idea of Alex's physical journey mirroring his linguistic journey.
Oh, I like that.
Each step he takes is a step towards greater confidence and fluency.
That's a great observation. It's like his physical movement through the museum is paralleling his progress in learning the language.
Exactly. It's a
And-
clever way to connect the two.
Yeah. Okay, so let's move on to scene 2.
Okay.
This is where Alex encounters a piece of modern art. And this is where things get interesting.
Oh, so.
Well, because art is so subjective.
Absolutely. And the writer really captures that sense of individual interpretation.
Yes.
I mean, we see Alex struggling to put his feelings about the painting into words.
Right. Yeah.
He mentions things like bright colors and how it shows, emotion and movement.
Right.
But he also admits he doesn't fully understand it. He just knows it makes you feel something.
I love that. It seems like he's experiencing something beyond language. He's grappling with those feelings that art can evoke.
Yeah.
But maybe doesn't have the vocabulary yet to fully express them. You think that's a common experience for language learners?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
It's that feeling of wanting to convey a complex thought or emotion, but lacking the precise vocabulary to do so.
Right.
It highlights the limitations of language,
Yeah.
even as it celebrates its expressive power.
I see what you're saying. And the way the other museum visitor responds to Alex is so important here, I think.
Oh, definitely. Instead of dismissing Alex's interpretation, the visitor validates it.
They do.
They say something like, I see what you mean. It's very powerful.
Yes. And that simple act of encouragement can make such a difference for a language learner.
It really can. It creates a positive learning environment where Alex feels comfortable expressing himself, even if he's not using perfect grammar or vocabulary.
Yeah, I think it reinforces the idea that communication is about connection and understanding, not just linguistic perfection.
Exactly. It's about getting your message across and connecting with the other person.
Right. It reminds me of those moments when you're first learning a language and someone understands what you're trying to say, even if it's not perfectly phrased.
Oh, yeah.
That feeling of being understood can be so motivating.
It is. It's like a little victory.
It is. Okay, so let's move on to scene 3.
Okay.
Now, Alex is on a guided tour. And we see him actively engaging with the information being presented.
Uh-huh. And this is where the script subtly highlights another important aspect of language learning,
Oh, which is?
the role of questioning.
Oh.
Alex asks a question about the material of his statue, demonstrating his curiosity and willingness to learn.
Yeah, he does.
And even though it seems like a simple question,
Yeah,
it shows that he's actively processing the information
he is.
and not just passively listening.
It's like he's taking ownership of his learning experience, right? He's not afraid to ask for clarification or
Exactly.
delve deeper into a topic. And the guy's response is so encouraging. They don't make him feel silly for asking the question.
Oh, absolutely not. They acknowledge his curiosity and provide further explanation.
It's great. And that's such an important message for language learners, too, that there's no such thing as a stupid question.
There really isn't. Every question is an opportunity for learning and understanding.
I agree. And this scene really emphasizes the value of active participation and how it can enhance the learning process.
Yeah, I think that's a key takeaway from this scene. Being an active participant is so important.
It is. You know what? I wonder if the scene is also subtly reminding us that even when we're fluent in a language, asking questions is still crucial for deeper learning.
Yeah.
It's not about already knowing everything.
Yeah.
It's about being open to new information and perspectives.
Absolutely. Curiosity and a willingness to ask questions are essential for lifelong learning, regardless of your language proficiency.
Right. Okay, so let's pause here for a second and reflect on what we've seen so far.
Okay.
We've seen Alex navigate the museum using language to ask for directions, express opinions, and engage in conversations.
Yeah,
It seems like he's becoming more comfortable and confident with each interaction.
he is. And that brings us to scene 4, where we see Alex reflecting on his overall museum experience.
Right. This is where it gets really interesting, I think.
It does, because he's not just absorbing facts about art and history.
Right.
He's also realizing how much he's learned about communicating in English.
Yeah, it's like the museum has become this unexpected classroom for him, a place where he can practice real-world language skills in a meaningful and engaging way.
Exactly. It's not just about the content of what he's learning.
Huh.
It's about the process of learning itself.
So true. So what stands out to you about this final scene in part 1?
Well, what's really powerful is that Alex recognizes he's gained more than just language skills. He's developed a deeper appreciation for art, history, and his own ability to connect with others through language.
Yeah,
It highlights the interconnectedness of learning, personal growth, and communication.
it does. He's gone beyond simply learning vocabulary and grammar.
Right.
He's experiencing the transformative power of language to connect with the world around him. And that's a beautiful thing to witness, I think.
It is, and it speaks to the core purpose of this Conversations in English series.
Right.
It's not just about teaching language in isolation.
Yeah.
It's about showing how language can be used to unlock a world of experiences and possibilities.
Exactly. So we've journeyed through this museum alongside Alex, witnessing his linguistic and personal discoveries.
We have.
But it leaves me wondering, what about your museum? What are those spaces where you've encountered the unexpected and learned something new?
Ooh, that's a great question, and a great place to leave our listeners hanging.
We'll delve deeper into that question in the next part of our deep dive. Hold on to those thoughts.
Can't wait.
So we just left off talking about those personal museums, those unexpected places where we find ourselves learning and growing.
Yeah.
It's interesting to think about how Alex's experience in an actual museum might mirror those moments in our own lives.
It is, and what strikes me is how the script subtly highlights the active role that Alex takes in his learning.
Oh, yeah.
He doesn't just passively observe.
Right.
He engages, asks questions, he tries to articulate his feelings, and he's open to new interpretations. I think that's key to those aha moments we experience in our own personal museums.
That makes sense. It's not enough to just be present in the space.
Right.
We have to actively engage with it, ask
Yeah.
questions, and be open to challenging our own assumptions.
Definitely.
It reminds me of something you mentioned earlier
Oh, yeah.
about how even simple interactions can be opportunities for learning.
Yes. Think about that scene where Alex asks for directions.
Right.
It's such a basic exchange.
Yeah.
But it reinforces the idea that every interaction, no matter how small, can contribute to our understanding of the world and our place in it.
It's like those chance encounters we have that end up sparking a new idea or giving us a fresh perspective.
Right?
Sometimes the most profound insights come from the most unexpected sources.
Absolutely.
Mm.
And I think that's what makes learning so fascinating.
Yeah.
It's not a linear process. It's about being open to those serendipitous moments, those connections we make that weren't planned,
Right.
but end up shaping our understanding.
It's like we're all on this constant journey of discovery and learning.
Oh, we are.
And sometimes those discoveries happen in the most unexpected places.
They do.
I love how the script uses the museum setting to symbolize that journey.
It's a brilliant choice.
Yeah.
The museum, with its diverse collection of art and artifacts,
Yeah.
becomes a metaphor for the vastness of knowledge and experience available to us.
It does.
And Alex, as he navigates the museum,
Yeah.
embodies that sense of exploration and curiosity.
It's like he's venturing into uncharted territory, not just physically within the museum,
Yeah.
but also intellectually and emotionally as he grapples with new ideas and perspectives.
Right.
And as he encounters different works of art, he's challenged to think critically and interpret meaning.
Precisely.
Yeah.
And that's where the idea of personal interpretation comes into play.
Yeah.
The script beautifully illustrates this through Alex's encounter with the modern art piece.
It does.
He struggles to articulate his response, which is something we've all experienced.
I have.
When confronted with something that defies easy categorization or explanation.
Right. It's like he's tapping into a deeper level of understanding that goes beyond language.
Yeah.
And the fact that another museum visitor validates his interpretation, even though it's subjective, is so important.
It is. It shows that there's no one right way to experience art or to learn.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly. It emphasizes the importance of respecting diverse perspectives
Definitely.
and being open to multiple interpretations.
Yeah.
And this applies not just to art, but to learning in general.
Right.
There's always more than one way to approach a topic,
Uh-huh.
to understand a concept, or to express an idea.
Exactly.
So it's a reminder that learning is a collaborative process.
It is.
We learn from each other, from our shared experiences, and from those moments of connection where we realize we're not alone in our struggles or our triumphs.
I agree.
And sometimes those connections happen in the most unexpected places, like a conversation with a stranger in an art museum.
What's fascinating to me is how the script weaves together these different threads: language learning, personal growth, the power of art, and the importance of human connection,
It does.
all within the context of a seemingly simple museum visit.
Mm-hmm.
It's quite masterful, really.
It is, and it speaks to the power of storytelling to illuminate universal truths about the human experience. We all have those moments where we feel lost, confused, or unsure of ourselves.
Yeah.
And we all have those moments of clarity, insight, and connection that make the journey worthwhile.
What resonates most with me is how the script encourages us to embrace the unknown,
Yes.
to be open to new experiences, and to never stop learning. It's a message that transcends language and culture.
It's a reminder that learning isn't just about acquiring knowledge.
Right.
It's about expanding our horizons, challenging our perspectives, and connecting with the world in meaningful ways.
So as we continue to reflect on Alex's journey and the lessons it holds,
Yeah.
I'm curious to hear from you. What has resonated most with you so far? What connections are you making to your own experiences with learning and personal growth?
Hold on to those thoughts as we move into the final part of our deep dive,
Okay.
where we'll explore the role of language in shaping those experiences and connections. Okay, so we've been talking about these personal museums, those unexpected places where we learn and grow,
Right.
and how Alex's experience in the art museum kind of mirrors those moments. Now, I'm curious about the role of language in all of this. It's one thing to have those aha moments, but how does language help us process and articulate them?
That's a crucial point. Language isn't just about grammar rules and vocabulary lists.
Right.
It's the tool we use to shape our thoughts, express our feelings, and connect with the world around us.
It is.
It's through language that those aha moments truly become meaningful and transformative.
In the context of conversations in English, we see this play out beautifully.
Yeah.
This script isn't just teaching vocabulary.
Right.
It's showing how language can be used to navigate real-world situations, to express opinions, to ask questions, to engage in meaningful conversations.
Exactly. It's not about memorizing phrases in isolation. It's about using language as a key to unlock new experiences and perspectives.
All right.
And the museum, with its diverse collection and opportunities for interaction,
Yeah.
becomes the perfect setting for this kind of language learning.
It does. I'm also struck by how the script subtly highlights the different ways we use language. Alex uses it to ask for directions, to describe his impressions of the artwork, to engage in a debate about modern art, to ask questions during the guided tour. It's a reminder of how versatile language is as a tool for communication and connection.
What's interesting is that even when Alex struggles to find the right words, he's still communicating.
Right.
Remember that scene with the modern art piece?
I do.
He stumbles a bit, grasps for vocabulary, but ultimately conveys his feelings about the painting.
Yeah.
And that resonates with the experience of many language learners.
It's like he's demonstrating that even imperfect language can still be powerful and meaningful.
It can.
And the fact that the other museum visitor validates his interpretation, regardless of his grammatical accuracy, reinforces that idea.
Definitely.
Communication isn't about perfection, it's about connection and understanding.
Exactly. That scene also subtly reminds us of something we often take for granted as fluent speakers.
What's that?
The sheer complexity of expressing abstract thoughts and emotions.
Right.
Alex's struggle highlights the nuances of language, the way we use words to convey not just information but also feelings and interpretations.
Okay, so as we wrap up this deep dive,
Yeah.
I'm wondering what key takeaway we want to leave our listener with today. What's the thread that connects Alex's journey in the museum with those personal museums we all encounter in our lives?
For me, it's about recognizing the transformative power of language.
Yeah.
It's not just a subject we study in school.
Right.
It's the very fabric of our thoughts, our relationships, our understanding of the world.
It is.
And just as Alex navigated the museum using language, we too navigate our lives, our experiences, our personal museums, using the power of words.
So to our listener, we encourage you to embrace that power. Be curious, ask questions, express yourself, engage in conversations. You never know what you might learn, who you might connect with, or what doors language might open for you. Keep exploring those personal museums, those unexpected spaces where learning and growth happen, and keep diving deep.